Hi, I'm Nikki Ilaya, and welcome to my YouTube channel. Our topic for today is the cardiovascular system. On today's video, we will learn about the three main types of cardiovascular system, which is blood, heart, and the blood vessels. These are our contents. What is cardiovascular system? The cardiovascular system is also known as a circulatory system. It's a system of organs that includes the blood vessels, and the heart, which is circulated throughout the entire body of a human or other vertebrate. The circulatory system has two divisions, a systemic circulation and a pulmonary circulation. The blood transports oxygen and essential nutrients to the body cells. It also carries waste, which leaves the body through the kidneys. Blood is composed of a variety of cells produced in the bone marrow. These cells include red blood cells that carry oxygen, white blood cells that fight infection, and platelets which prevent bleeding. 55% of blood is formed of plasma, a liquid that maintains blood pressure. Red blood cells contain hemoglobin, a protein that carries oxygen molecules. Anemia occurs when the number of red blood cells or hemoglobin is low. White blood cells are important components of the immune system that fight infection. When a blood vessel is injured, blood clots can form to prevent bleeding. Platelets are involved in clot formation as well as several other components of the blood. An inability to form a clot can result in excessive clots that are no longer needed. Too much clotting can block blood vessels and lead to strokes or heart attacks, depending on the location. Blood cancers such as leukemia occur when healthy white blood cells are replaced by cancerous cells within the bone marrow. Together, this highlights the delicate balance observed in blood. What is blood? Blood is a specialized body fluid. It has four main components: plasma, red blood cells, white blood cells, and the platelets. Blood has many different functions, including transporting oxygen and nutrients to the lungs and tissues, forming blood clots to prevent excess blood loss. These are the components of blood. Plasma is the liquid component of the blood in which the red blood cells, white blood cells, and platelets are suspended. It acts as a reservoir that can either replenish insufficient water or absorb excess water from tissues. Red blood cells, also called erythrocytes, make up about 40% of the blood's volume. Red blood cells carry carbon dioxide away from the tissues and back to the lungs. When the number of red blood cells is too high, which is erythrocytosis, as in polycythemia vera, blood can become too thick, which may cause the blood to clot more easily and increase the risk of heart attacks and strokes. White blood cells, also called leukocytes, are fewer in number than red blood cells, with a ratio of about 1 white blood cell to every 600 to 700 red blood cells. White blood cells are responsible primarily for defending the body against infection. These are the five main types of white blood cells: neutrophil, eosinophil, basophil, monocyte, lymphocyte. The neutrophil is the most numerous type, help protect the body against infections by killing and ingesting bacteria and fungi and by ingesting foreign debris. Lymphocytes consist of three main types: T cells, which is the T lymphocytes, and natural killer cells, which both help protect against viral infections and can detect and destroy some cancer cells, and B cells, B lymphocytes, which develop into cells to produce antibodies. Monocytes ingest dead or damaged cells and help defend against many infections organisms, while the eosinophil, it kills parasites, destroy cancer cells, and are involved in allergic responses. And lastly, the basophil, it also participates in allergic response. Platelets, also called thrombocytes, are cell-like particles that are smaller than red or white blood cells. When the number of platelets is too low, or thrombocytopenia, bruising and abnormal bleeding become more likely. When the number of platelets is too high, thrombocytomania, blood may clot excessively and can block blood vessels, causing disorders such as transient ischemic attack. Formation of blood cells. Within the bone marrow, all blood cells from a single type of unspecialized cell called a stem cell. When a stem cell divides, it first becomes an immature red blood cell, white blood cell, or platelets-producing cell. Mature cell then divides, matures further, and ultimately becomes a mature red blood cell, white blood cell, or platelets. The rate of blood cell production is controlled by the body needs. Normal blood cells last for a limited time ranging from a few hours to a few days for white blood cells to about 10 days for platelets, to about 120 days for red blood cells, and must be replaced constantly. Certain conditions may trigger additional production of blood cells. When the oxygen content of body tissues is low, or the number of red blood cells decreases, kidneys produce and release erythropoietin, a hormone that stimulates the bone marrow to produce more red blood cells. The bone marrow produces and releases more white blood cells in response to infections. It produces and releases more platelets in response to bleeding. What is heart? Heart is an organ about the size of your fist that pumps blood through your body. It is made up of multiple layers of tissue. Your heart is at the center of your circulatory system. It has the two sides of heart, the atrium and the ventricle. The atrium is the upper chamber that collects blood and pumps it to the lower chamber. Ventricle, the lower chamber which pumps blood out of the heart. There is two parts of heart, systole and diastole. During systole, the ventricles contract and pump blood out of the heart, and the atria relax and begin filling and blood again. During the diastole, the ventricles relax and fill with blood, then the atria contract, forcing more blood into the ventricles. The function of the heart. The right side of the heart pumps blood to the lungs, where oxygen is added to the blood and carbon dioxide is removed. The left side of the heart pumps blood to the rest of the body, where oxygen and nutrients are delivered to tissues, and waste products, such as carbon dioxide, are transferred to the blood for removal by other organs, such as the lungs and the kidney. The types of circulation of the heart: the pulmonary circulation and the systemic circulation. The pulmonary circulation is the circle through the right side of the heart, the lungs, and the left atrium. The systemic circulation is the circle through the left side of the heart, most of the body, and the right atrium. Blood supply of the heart. Vital organs, the heart needs a constant supply of oxygen-rich blood. Even though the heart chambers are full of blood, the heart muscle needs its own dedicated blood supply, which is called the coronary circulation. The coronary circulation is the system of arteries and veins that supplies the heart muscle, myocardium, with oxygen-rich blood, and then returns oxygen-depleted blood to the right atrium. Regulation of the heart. The contraction of the muscle fibers in the heart is very organized and highly controlled. Every heart muscle fiber does not contract at exactly the same time. Instead, the fibers contract in a sequence that best pumps blood out of each heart chamber. The contraction sequence is controlled by rhythmic electrical impulse or discharge that flow through the heart in a precise manner along distinct pathways and at a controlled speed. The impulse originates in the heart's natural pacemaker, sinus, or the sinoatrial node, a small mass of tissue in the wall of the right atrium, which generate a tiny electrical current. Blood vessels. Blood vessels circulating the blood. Blood travels from the heart in arteries, which branch into smaller and smaller vessels, eventually becoming arterioles. Arterioles connect with even smaller blood vessels called capillaries. The blood vessels consist of arteries, arterioles, capillaries, venules, veins. Arteries and arterioles. The arteries, which are strong, flexible, and resilient, carry blood away from the heart and bear the highest blood pressures. Blood arteries are elastic, they narrow recoil passively when the heart is relaxing between beats and thus help maintain blood pressure. The arteries branch into smaller and smaller vessels, eventually becoming very small vessels called arterioles. Arteries and arterioles have muscular walls that can adjust their diameter to increase or decrease blood flow to a particular part of the body. The capillaries. Capillaries are tiny, extremely thin-walled vessels that act as a bridge between arteries, which carry blood away from the heart, and veins which carry blood back to the heart. The thin walls of the capillaries allow oxygen and nutrients to pass from the blood into tissues and allow waste products to pass from tissues into the blood. The venules and veins, blood flows to capillaries into very small veins called venules, then into the veins that lead back to the heart. Veins have much thinner walls than to arteries, largely because the pressure in veins is so much lower.